There we go. We're on. Okay. Sorry about that. For those of you watching, we had technical difficulties. But we are on, everybody. So we are going to start the meeting with prayer and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for today, and we thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for this time together to collaborate and to make good decisions. Father, we thank you for your wisdom and for favor, and we thank you that your will be done in all things. In Jesus' name, amen. Mm-hmm. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Okay, let's do a roll call. We'll start with you, Robert. Yes.
Robert Beltran with Dewberry.
Sue Colson with Cedar Key.
Norm Fugit, attorney for the co-op.
Zoom Paget for Otter Creek.
Rachel Weeks with Bronson and chair of W3C. Okay. And we have Sherry, our secretary, as well. All right. Do we have any additions or deletions or changes to the current agenda? No? Do we have an approval?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, item 2, consent agenda. We've got several items here. We've got minutes from the February 17th, 2026 regular co-op board meeting, attorney Norm Fugit statement for legal services invoice, Newberry Engineers invoice, James Moore invoice, and James Moore are the professional services for audit fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2024, and fiscal year which ended September 30th of 2025.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd like to move public participation to the very end, if that's okay with everyone. Informational items number 4, the W3C virtual meeting will be broadcast on YouTube, and we're here. We did that. The channel name is Waka Sassa Water and Wastewater Cooperative 2, the number 2. The handle name is @W3C-02. Channel link is listed here as youtube.com/the W3C-02 *SI GA W 71 lowercase c uppercase CSP space uppercase F EV-LI. We will go live at 1 p.m. At each meeting. Item 5, new business. Attorney reports.
Okay, under attorney reports, the first thing we have is the report on the petition for variance or waiver of Rule 62-505.354B. This is attached as page 26 through 29. You should have already received this. Let me get to it here. You should have already received a copy of this that I sent out to our board. This is a petition for variance or waiver. We're actually asking for a waiver of this rule. This rule is the rule that says that in connection with our wastewater design funding application, application for the state revolving fund, we are being told that we get a maximum of 80% loan forgiveness. There's a rule out there that says that if we get additional outside funding for the project, then that funding operates to reduce the 80% loan forgiveness. So that then has the effect of making us come up with 20% no matter what outside funding we get. So we had applied for a different, through Dewberry, we had applied for a different waiver of the 20% to increase the loan forgiveness to 100%. The DEP responded to us saying that that was not available under the statutes, but suggested that we file this petition for waiver. So we've done that. This petition went in last week. I believe it was filed Thursday of last week,
Commercial, I think.
Friday of last week, Thursday or Friday of last week. And and then we got a receipt on March 11th, whatever day that was. I guess that was Wednesday, so maybe I'm a little earlier than that. The DEP Office of General Counsel actually gave us a receipt showing that they had received it on March 11th of 26. I'm not sure about the turnaround time that they have for, I know that they have to advertise this petition and then they have to go through their process. Do y'all have any, did y'all look at that from Dewberry stand?
No, I think it's a 15-day advertisement, and it's a matter of whenever they make a decision.
Whenever they make, right.
Sounds positive.
So, my understanding is that we have applications in and maybe some real possibilities for funding for the extra 20%, if we can get this waiver of this rule. So,
Let's see, 20 and 80 makes 100. That sounds fair.
That's the goal.
That's it.
That's the goal.
That's the magic number.
so is there any questions on this petition?
No, I'm going to put that in layman terms, though, real quick for the video purposes. So this is the petition to remove the 80% cap off of funding so that if we get more grant money, we can fill in that 20% gap and hopefully get to 100% funding on the clean water. The clean water is the sewer water that they clean and put back into the aquifer. The drinkable water, to remind everybody, we already have 100% funding for that. So this is the last bit that we've been fighting really hard for and holding out for hope. We'll have a turnaround here. Yes.
Is that a DEP decision that they make the final decision?
They do. DEP administration, that's what I'm understanding, makes that final decision, right?
Doesn't have to go to the legislature.
And we're, just to say, I mentioned it, but we're hopeful that maybe we'll get a positive decision on that because it was DEP staff that pointed out the possibility that we go this route. So we're hoping that means something. We have no other questions on the petition for waiver. Then the next item is that I want to report on is the final audit for fiscal year ending September 30th of 2024 that is attached in the agenda packet as pages 30 through 47. And then also the final audit for fiscal year ended September 30th of 2025, which is pages 48 through 65 of your packet. And I would ask that we receive a motion to approve, one motion to approve both of these audits.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank God.
Yes. Oh, I know.
Thank God that's done.
I know. I
And
said the
thank the
same
Water
thing.
Management District for helping, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
They helped us fund that.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean-
Swanee River Water Management helped, funded that.
Another thank you.
Yeah, and I'll make 2 points here, okay? $25,000 seems like a lot for 2 audits that comprised of just a few transactions per audit year. But the audit rules are such that whether you have just a few transactions or hundreds of transactions, the auditor still has to go through a certain process of evaluation and looking at other things other than just the financial transactions. And I'll say this, my experience with other local governments, even small local governments, is it's not unusual for a single year's audit to be over $25,000. So we were fortunate to get, I want to say thank you to James Moore and Company for giving us this offer of a discounted rate. And Robert Beecham's office was very instrumental, I think, in getting that discount from James Moore and Company.
Rachel, it would be nice just to send out a thank you from the Waukesha 3 stating what he just said to both the district and that we, at our meeting, we advised the public, and thank you for your cooperation and help with this.
That's great.
I think that always goes a long way.
Might even throw in some cookies.
Cannolis.
Cannoli. I can't ship a cannoli.
Okay, so the last item that I have under my new business is a report on a committee substitute for House Bill 273 from the Florida legislature. This relates to special district funding. This is in page 66 through 69 of your packet. Go over to that. So what I've included in the packet is a printout of the status from the legislative website as to this bill. This is the bill that that our W3C's guy at the legislature, whatever they call
Edgar
it.
Fernandez.
Edgar.
Edgar, please, sir.
Yeah, so Edgar helped get this bill pushed through, coordinating with Representative Johnson and with Senator McLean, who both had to propose this bill on both sides of the legislature and then shepherd it through the different committee meetings and then ultimately the House and the Senate for several votes. And so as of the time that we put the packet together, it had been, the bill had been passed by the Senate on March 6th, had been passed by the House on March 12th. And I just got a email from Edgar yesterday that it has been enrolled, which means that it's actually been put in final written form. And I don't remember if he said it had been transmitted to the governor for the governor to sign. And what happens there is either the governor signs it within a certain number of days, he vetoes it within a certain number of days, or if he doesn't do either, at the end of that certain number of days, it automatically goes. So, we don't anticipate any problems there. The purpose of that bill was to, and it's not just this district, it's all special districts in the state of Florida that are located in the a rural area of opportunity. If you're a county or a municipality and you have that designation, you get a waiver from the requirement of doing a reimbursement on grants. So meaning if you have the waiver from the reimbursement, you don't have to put the money out and then get reimbursed. And so this bill would afford that treatment to all special districts in the state of Florida, in addition to already it applies to municipalities and counties. So we want to thank Dewberry, who hired Edgar to be our representative in Tallahassee and helping shepherd this through.
And he's called a lobbyist, right?
Yeah.
That's his title.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, he is.
We met Edgar.
Solid.
And that was that the 850,000?
This is the legislative change. We're going to talk about the 850 as
Okay.
well. It's still apply.
This just has to do, remember, I don't know if you were here then on the board at the time. We had a grant early on that the state required us to show proof of payment of $150,000 before they would reimburse us for that. Well, of course, we didn't have $150,000 sitting around, so we had to go find somebody that would give us a loan to just be able to fund that, send it to the state, have them approve it, and send it back and send the money back to us.
Okay.
So this bill gets us an exemption from having to spend the money ahead of time and then get reimbursed.
Okay, good. Great.
And that's all I have under my agenda items.
You did really good this month.
Thank you.
Thank
You worked
you.
hard.
You really did a lot.
Okay, old business. Project updates from Mr. Robert Beltram.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm going to give you guys an update of where we are today. Obviously, things have been changing in the last 24 hours, so we can talk a little bit about that if you so wish. These slides were obviously prepared before that, so we can talk about maybe where we might want to go from there once we're done. So just as a reminder to everybody that we are looking at a regional facility of these three facilities. We're looking at moving infrastructure inland to make it more resilient, to provide higher water quality and provide aquifer recharge to the environment. Again, these are the elements of the project we've talked about several times in the past. One other thing we always want to make sure that everybody understands is that W3C is a wholesale provider of infrastructure, meaning there are no invoices that will go off to individual residents. It only goes to utilities or wholesale customers, meaning it goes to the town, it goes to the Cedar Key Water and Sewer District, or it would go to Otter Creek as well. And so I think it's important to understand that we are a wholesale provider and that we would not be invoicing anybody individually as we would move forward with this program.
Mr. Beltran, I had a question about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was a little confusion in Bronson. When W3C will bill the town will then be able to disperse that base cost per account. It's not based necessarily. So let's say in the beginning, we don't have everybody hooked into sewer.
Mhm.
But every account could still have to pay that base rate with W3C because it's still maintaining the facilities and it's still in preparation to hook them up. Is that correct? Or do we only charge the ones that are hooked in?
So again,
Legally.
we are only charging the town of Bronson. How Bronson decides to pay for that is a decision that Bronson would make.
Okay, so
Well,
Bronson, yeah.
yeah.
So I think the question was legality.
Yeah, so it's however you guys want to do your rate system and however you guys want to charge to make it up. Some municipalities will use impact fees
Mm-hmm.
to pay those kinds of costs because this is for capital improvements and capacities.
Right.
So that's an allowed source of funding. Some people may charge part of a base rate.
Yeah.
Some people use it as part of a user rate. It really is individually how each of the members decided to charge their individual customers. We have nothing to do with how
Right.
you guys decide to charge your individual customers. That is completely between you and your customers.
Okay.
We are only providing an invoice to the overall town, and then they decide how they want to pay for it.
Okay. And I asked that because I think they were doing the math based on, we have close to 700 accounts total, but
Right.
only 2 of them are hooked into sewer currently. So they were thinking, well, we can't split this up between just 200 people. So I think there was a lot of number crunching in Bronson too that was incorrect. We still have a base rate. We still have these facilities that have to be maintained, and everybody needs to pay their portion of that. That has nothing to do with usage of gallons.
Right.
And so if you have that base rate or that impact fee, and that goes to every single account, then you charge each resident, each account per their usage on top of that impact fee. Yeah.
So yeah, it really is, however, there's multiple ways of doing this. So
Mhm.
lots of different ways you can go about doing this.
Okay.
All right, let me reiterate that. That's what I was going to say is Robert mentioned impact fees, he mentioned user rates, but there are even other mechanisms by which a municipally owned utility can generate the monies it needs to do this that are legal.
Mhm.
I'm not the Bronson attorney, so I won't get into details of that, but suffice to say that there are other mechanisms to raise that money.
Would it be safe to say that the W3C council will be authorized to help the different towns find these sources?
Well, I don't mind. I never have a problem talking with another another municipal attorney, especially
Mhm.
about how to get things done.
Mhm.
So I don't think I'm not going to charge W3C to do that. I'm just going to do that as a matter of professional courtesy to whoever might need that advice.
If they ask.
Typically,
Okay.
I think you guys, a lot of you use rural water,
Mhm.
Florida rural water. They'll come in and do a rate evaluation based on your cost. So this is just a cost that hits your utility like anything else that hits your utility.
Right.
So how you pay for it, they would then give you all those options.
Cedar Key's done that.
Yeah.
We have ours.
Okay. Great.
Or you do Florida rural water. I think they use it in this one. And I think they offer that service for free.
Okay.
The other thing I want to be sure that everybody understands is that we don't plan on connecting individual homes along this pipeline. As you can
Right.
see on this map, there's a lot of protected, environmentally protected, sensitive areas along the corridor of our pipelines. Again, we are a wholesale provider. We don't see individual developments occurring The only way we can connect to somebody would be if we had a municipal partner or a member of the cooperative to be part of our team. So where we are is we're trying to go from planning to engineering. And as we continue to move forward, the whole plan here is to continue to further refine our design and making sure that we're building the right size, the right capacities for each of our facilities. And so one of our asks for all the members is to consider what is the service you might want from W3C. We've done the facility plans, we've looked at population projections, we looked at over build outs for over a 50-year period. We've given you guys some capacities. However, at the end of the day, it's what each member needs is what's important to W3C. W3C is the members that comprise it. And so therefore we want to be sure that we're serving your needs. And so as we go through this next phase, we'd like more feedback from Cedar Key, Otter Creek, and Bronson, assuming that how much capacity you may want on either side of this equation. So that's super important because I think what you've seen today is probably the highest you might ever want. We totally are expecting that these facilities may get a little smaller, costs will go down, hopefully. And so with that, and funding will go up, right? And so the idea here is that we're giving you guys one end of the spectrum, and the idea is to further refine this design as we go forward in time. So real quick on the project status. As you know, we have now completed potentially the well. It has been fully pumped and developed. We had a presentation, I believe, at our last board meeting where we also had the water management district there. They showed you that the drawdown impacts were minimal. They saw nothing that would keep them from permitting water supply to this facility. Everything looked good. Just a little bit of a graphics for you guys who weren't at the Bronson meeting. You can see the orange there, the test production well location, 462 feet away. We had an agricultural well that we are observing the water levels in the aquifer. So as we pump this well almost 3 times of the capacity we might need, we were seeing, is there any drawdown occurring in the nearby well? This is just a picture of what that observation well looks like. It was a well that was there already, so that's what we were using. You can see the drill rig in the back. This is a diagram of what this well looks like. It's overall 170 feet deep. It has a steel casing that extends to 120 feet deep below the ground surface. And then you can see a little piece sticks up out of it. The idea here is that open hole between 120 and 170 feet is where the water will be coming from that would then be provided to all the members of the cooperative. And so when you pump this well, what happens is that water level comes down on the well itself, what we call drawdown, occurring at the well, and then you observe drawdown further away. As you go further and further away, that drawdown is less and less as the aquifer gets back to its piezometric surface. The results of the well at pumping at 900
Can I
gallons.
ask you a question?
Yep.
There was a lot of discussion about people's wells going dry.
Yep.
From this, but kind of what you're showing is that maybe a couple inches came down at over 50 feet. So you would suspect the farther you get away,
It gets better and better.
less and less. So
Yeah.
you really didn't show an issue of
Of any kind at all.
getting rid of.
No problems whatsoever. No impacts to other wells, no impacts to the environment. We're seeing very, very productive, highly productive well. And so just for reference, we pumped this well at 900 gallons per minute, 1,350 gallons per minute, and 1,800 gallons per minute. So just for reference, 720 gallons a minute is 1 million gallons per day. This well originally will be, if we keep the current size as we said, is about 500,000 gallons. So you can see even at 1 million gallons plus, twice that at 1,300 and 2.5 times that at 1,800, we saw very little. We saw, this is in inches, so 0.12 inches to 0.36. No drawdown in the agricultural well. We saw zero change, very little change. We saw, again, 5 inches in the main well, which is absolutely nothing. 8 inches at 1,800 gallons per minute. So again, very little drawdown, very good producer, very good well, good overall quality. Also, as you know, because we are pumping the well, and this was a question we got early on as we began this evaluation was, well, you're pumping the water all the way from Bronson down to here. Does that water degrade? Does it cause any issues or problems? And so we actually took a sample of water. We pumped some water out of this well. We shipped it off to a lab in cooler setting as required by sampling and proper techniques. And we tested that water for 10 days. We chlorinated that water and tested it for 10 days. And we saw no effects on the water. So we saw no THF potential growing in that well at all, which is fantastic news, right? So no special treatment will be needed for this water. We can chlorinate it. The water has more than 10 days to get from Bronson to here, which is more than enough time to get down this way. We don't expect any water quality issues whatsoever with just traditional water quality treatment. So that was one of the new findings that we didn't have last time. And then we also tested the well for primary and secondary water quality contaminants. This is pretty much a requirement. You know, if we did see something, we could always provide extra treatment. Again, the water met all primary and secondary treatment levels. And so we deemed this well to be very, very well into producing good water quality. So we have good quantity, we have good quality, everything looks good. And so that resulted in a letter that I believe is in this packet as well with our full report that is back to the board for your guys' consideration, which is the well is technically feasible for W3C's use. And so we provided that information back to the board for your discussion or however you'd like to look at it. Any questions on the well before I move on?
Just one thing I don't know if I understand.
Yes.
So you got this well, you tested it. Is it going to be the well?
So we are looking at eventually 2 wells for reliability. So this is one of the 2 wells.
It will be one of them.
It would be the well that would produce water that would be then eventually sent to this well.
Okay.
And then we would drill a second well similarly exactly how we would drill this one. We expect the exact same results because of the proximity. And that would be there just for reliability, right? Just in case one goes down, we always want to have make sure we have water supply. So we'd have 2 wells for just reliability perspectives. But this was an important step because we want to test the well, make sure we know exactly what we're getting into so there's less unknowns. Again, what this does is it further lets us understand what we have to build and what we don't have to build. So as we move forward from planning and engineering, we're getting a more and more refined design that's less and less fun. Okay, grant money. So we've been highly successful with our grant money. As you know, as of today, we've been awarded $42 million in grant funding. A lot's been happening on that front, and we've been very excited. We've talked about this already in the past. As of today, based on the original estimates, again, we expect this to come down. Because of the impacts of Hurricane Helene and Milton, we were able to apply for the SAM funding, which is a special appropriation for Hurricanes Milton and Helene. And we received $35 million. We are on the wait list for the remaining $16.8 million. We also have additional funding there for Otter Creek and for Cedar Key for additional improvements you might need on your water side. So that's also been part of that application funding. So we're waiting for that money. We are second in line on that. I think the town of Perry's ahead of us. These loan applications were now due on the 12th. We have submitted on that. We're waiting to see if others are submitting or not. If you don't submit and you didn't make this deadline, there may be other money that's freeing up. So we might get some money coming back around again. So waiting to see how that all plays out. We have submitted that application. So where we are in this process, if you recall, we've moved this box over from the middle box to the one next door, which is the draft agreement. We have now submitted our application to the department on March 12th as it was due for the water process. The next step will be they'll be looking at that along with all the information we provided them in our facilities plan that'll be coming to them and drafting a loan agreement for us. Now it's called a loan agreement, but has 100% loan forgiveness associated with it. So again, it'd be 100% free money to move forward with the water plant design. It also includes, just to be clear, it also includes funding for acquisition of any property that's associated with the water plant. This is the petition that Norm spoke about earlier. I don't need the waiver request. So we also, in addition to that, we do have a SRF loan for the wastewater side. That loan is in place. Again, we've submitted the information for that. We are in the same step for this. Right now, that has a 20% or 80% loan forgiveness, 20% loan that'd be associated with it. So the waiver has been filed with the department to hopefully remove that remaining 20%, as the chairwoman had mentioned earlier to the group. And so that is moving forward as well. As just mentioned, we've been very successful with the legislature. This is kind of the request we've asked for on funding side. We were successful on the language. Again, now it's passed the House and the Senate. The language on both sides have now matched up. And so the next step is to send it to the governor's office, as Mr. Fugate mentioned, and hopefully he signs that into law. And if he does, takes no action on it, it goes into law automatically, as he mentioned. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Fugate to be available, because there was some times there that, you know, as language legislation starts moving, people add things to it and take things away. And so he's always available to answer questions. So I just want to thank him for his help. There's always these last minute 8 o'clock calls at night. Hey, we need to talk to so-and-so and see what's going on. So he was very helpful.
I think this question was asked, what's on the screen is different than the bill that I was talking about.
That's right.
The bill I was talking about was a special district funding bill. This is specific to our.
Yeah, so these were our 2 funding requests that we put in this year for the legislature to see if they would fund some of our programs here. Unfortunately, the $1.5 million land acquisition request did not go through. Again, that's we'll continue to try. This is a process. The 1.7 million was recognized by the House and the Senate. The legislature has not finished their budget. As you know, session is being extended. And so when that budget will be discussed in the upcoming sessions, we're still waiting to see all the schedules that will happen. But right now, that request is in play. Now, the House has a requirement that says 50% of the money you ask for has to come from locals or from other sources. So that request is now listed at $850,000, but it's half of that $1.7 million request. So that is moving forward right now. That's still in place. So we're hopeful to watch that and make sure that hopefully that comes through. All right, I spoke a little bit about this already, but since we're here in Cedar Key, we've got some charts that were specific to Cedar Key's system. This is the current breakdown and allocation of the facility. As I mentioned earlier, the water plant was being envisioned to be 500,000 gallons, the wastewater plant 400,000 gallons. This was the breakdown of the distribution of the capacity of those facilities. Again, this was our first guess at it. We want more information from each of the members to see how much, if any of this you'd like to proceed with or think about as we move forward from planning to engineering. And then this was the wholesale cost that we put together. Again, this is a combined water and wastewater cost, and this assumes that we get 100% grant funding on water and with wastewater. And so we shared with you last time these costs, and this would be the annual cost that we bill to a member. Now, this could be billed on a monthly basis. This could be billed on a quarterly basis. It really is up to the board how you guys want to go about billing this to each of the members. And again, I point out that none of this is being paid until after the facilities are built. And that's when things begin to be financed or being paid for. All the money is being upfront given to you guys for free at zero interest for the most part. Very small amount. In this case, we're saying 100% grant funding. So it's all zero given up front for free. This is the best case scenario that could happen.
So just to reiterate, no payments on this project are due until approximately 6 months after construction is completely done.
Which we anticipate to be around 2030.
Correct. Okay.
We broke this down because this is a combined thing, right? We're providing both water and wastewater. We did break this down between water and wastewater. So the next 2 tables are the same thing, but just the water portion or the wastewater portion. And again, just to point out, it all is all based upon these capacities. If these capacities are changing, these numbers would all change. So at the end of the day, if we don't get the additional waiver of the funds and we don't get additional grants, this is what would be owed based on these percentages by each of the members. If we do get the waiver and we do get the additional funding, then there would be a $0 obligation through the design phase or the 60% phase. And I wanted to focus in on the 60% design phase because this is the next step for you guys to consider as we move forward in time. Is you can see that if you move forward with the water side, as it stands today, there is zero commitment. There's no dollars being paid by anybody to get to the 60% design, all 100% loan forgiveness through the SAM funding that we receive. If we were to move forward with the wastewater system design, as was stated today, there would be about $1 million estimated. Again, we would have to refine these numbers, but this is kind of the high end of the spectrum of what we might anticipate we would need to get to the 60% design.
Robert, so that's 2027 Q3. Would that be when the bill's due?
We go on the next page.
On your timetable? Yeah, so
No, the bill's not due till after construction. So not until the plant is up and built.
would you pay that $500,000?
That's right.
Okay,
So not till 23rd.
okay.
Okay, so I want to reiterate that. The money that's showing here that's due at the 60% design phase, that's not, we don't have to pay that at the 60% design phase. That's just what we have spent at the 60% design phase over the grant money.
That's right.
Okay, so because this question came up last night.
Okay.
So that's why I'm making this very clear. We do not pay that at the 60% design phase finish. We still do not pay that until the very end, 6 months after construction is completely done. That's just showing us where we are at the 60% design phase. That's what we have at that point, the debt that we would have at that point if we do not get any extra grant money. I just did the math. In 1 year, that's $60 per Bronson hookup per month. And that $510,000 is done. That's in 1 year per hookup per month, $60. And that's paid for. So this is not going to put us in a huge amount of debt that's not payable. What my concern is that if we continue on and we don't sign this agreement, the 270 hookups that Bronson needs to hook in to the system, those people, those homeowners, those businesses will be out of pocket a ton of money if they have to get the 3-compartment septic system in their own backyard with no help from us as the town of Bronson, no help from W3C, no help from grants. This way, they're only paying $60 a month for a year, and that is paid for.
And that is if you can't get the other alternatives that we
Yes.
spoke of earlier.
That's
That's
if
right.
no other extra money comes in at this point. This is just with what we have already been awarded, what we know we've been awarded, $60 per hookup per month in the town of Bronson. Yes.
And these alternatives take time to get in place. So we got 2 years to get them in place. So the focus to that direction is where we need to start that focus now on these other alternatives. So it's not all burned on the current customers that we have. Not 100%.
Right. And I get it. Listen, I'm here representing Bronson. Yes, I am W3C, but I like to compare apples and oranges. It's like a marriage where Jesus comes first and then your spouse comes second. Bronson comes first here and W3 comes second with me. However, I'm looking at all the details and this makes sense for our town people, making them replace their septic tank with a new septic tank out of their own pocket and then no revenue coming in to Bronson from that hookup makes no sense for the town of Bronson. It's going to hurt the people more than a $60 fee per month for a year at the 60%. However, I do understand Bronson's concerns. They were all of their concerns were my concerns until all of this was cleared up for me. So I completely understand where the town council's coming from and the manager's coming from and the people are coming from. It is scary to say, okay, we've got 60% designed. We have nothing to show for it physically, and we already owe $510,000. It's terrifying. It is. Nobody wants to owe, right? We want to be debt free. We want to be done. But when you do the math, $510,000, and we're more than half designed, split between the hookups that we already have in Bronson. It's $60 per month per hookup. If we do not move forward with W3C, then Bronson will be left in a bind. We won't have capacity to be able to hook more people in. So it all goes back to, do we get the chicken or do we get the egg? Which one do we do first? If we don't build this new facility and we don't have more capacity, we won't be able to hook more people in. It'll be harder for us to get grant money to be able to hook people in to an older facility, that when we do hook up 270 people to that old facility, well, now we're at capacity and now we've got to build on. So now we need more money. When if we jump on board with this and it's paid for, the majority of it is paid for, then the state would be more likely to give us grant money for our in-city issues, just like they will for Otter Creek and they will for Cedar Key.
Great. So just kind of moving forward where we are is, we're researching, last time I was asked to look at different alternatives for the wastewater treatment facility. We are researching some different alternative locations, based on some of the news we've received earlier today, that if it is no longer a priority to provide wastewater services to one of our members, that wastewater facility probably could move closer towards Cedar Key. Part of the thought of putting that wastewater facility out in the Bronson area was to provide that service to one of the members. But last night, as I understand it, there was a decision to be made not to move forward with it. So I do want every member to think about that this is two different systems. We've combined it together to make it more economical. But this is two different systems. You have a wastewater system, you have a water system. The water system is 100% paid for. The implementation agreement speaks of both, but I think it wouldn't be very difficult to split this apart between water and wastewater if we had to. And so there needs to be a decision. I know Cedar Key has already made this decision, and I think Otter Creek has made this decision already to go forward with both sides. But I know Bronson is still considering at least, I would think, one of these two options. And so, but if we do want to look at different alternatives of where this wastewater facility can go, that is very feasible because we are doing advanced treatment. We do have some options for how we get rid of this water, right? And so that's been the biggest limitation on where we could put this water and where we could put this facility. So if the board wants to look at something a little closer towards Otter Creek, that is something we could do with the wastewater side. There are other communities in this area that are facing some of these same challenges of having to build advanced wastewater treatment facilities. We could reach out to other communities as well. And there's other facilities in this area that are having some issues with compliance. And so there's other opportunities that are out there. I think there are options to move the wastewater treatment facility if that's what we want to do as a board. And so I just want to put that out there as we look ahead. However, if we do want to change the wastewater facilities plan, it has already been accepted by the state. It has as is, and those alternatives all focused on putting the wastewater plant at Bronson with different treatment technologies that were evaluated. If we want to move the location of that facility because we aren't going to provide wastewater service to the town of Bronson any longer, then we can do that, but we have to go back and update the planning element of the wastewater facility plan that was submitted. The clean water SRF facilities plan that was submitted has to be relooked at to give the option of moving the geographic location to a different site. We could do one option with the other ones that we've already done and make a small change. We could look at 3 different new options if that's what the board wants to do. But it's something you guys need to think about. I don't think we need to make a decision today, but I wanted to make sure that you guys understand that these are the options for the wastewater facility. The water facility really should be where the well is. The wastewater facility can be moved depending on what the needs are and what of the members. Again, W3C is a group of you guys. We're here to serve your memberships, and what you guys need, you tell us, and we can adjust accordingly. So our final recommendation is really to move forward with the water project. It's fully funded. It's 100%. The well has tested to become technically feasible, can serve its purposes. The application has been submitted. It will take several months for DEP to get back to us. So there's not a today decision on this. But again, this is kind of where I think you guys should be thinking about going over the next several months as we are kind of waiting at this point for DEP to come back with that loan agreement for the water plant. They're going to want to know the specifics, and that's when we really have to just kind of sign on the line to move forward with it. So that's some of your considerations.
I haven't heard the results of the Bronson last night. Is Bronson no on the wastewater,
Bronson voted not to sign the agreement.
for the wastewater, for the water, for the whole thing?
They just made a motion. The mayor passed his gavel to the vice mayor so that he could make the motion to not sign the agreement. And it was very vague.
I got you.
Um,
No, I don't want, I'm just trying to
Sure.
use the details so I can understand. If we're gonna be just considering things, we're just kind of need to know what the facts are.
yes,
Does,
I think the attorneys have to talk about everything.
is this saying no to the purchase of where the well is, or is it saying,
No, the motion had nothing to do with that.
okay, it's just that they're not gonna move forward with the project,
Not
but
going, no,
some of the land acquisitions can still be taking place?
there's an implementation agreement that was drafted and was proposed to all three members.
Right.
Okay. My understanding of the vote last night was the motion was not to enter into the implementation agreement. The implementation agreement, I assume, is the one that is in front of all three members right now, which is water and wastewater together.
Correct.
Does that mean they voted no to both water and wastewater? I don't think it's just that agreement. So I guess they did vote no to both of them in that agreement. Does that mean that they would not be willing to vote yes if it was one or the other? And it doesn't, I don't know that it means that. Does that mean that they intended to vote no to any formulation of wastewater? You know, if the numbers were different, I don't know that it means that. And then I guess the other question that comes up, there was no vote taken for Bronson to withdraw from the cooperative.
Okay.
But there was no vote
Right.
taken to stay in the cooperative either. So
Right. So the options for them to sell the property where the well is to make, so the water part, that's 100% paid for. And it's also a phenomenal backup for Bronson if they kept that portion of it, and it wouldn't cost them anything. I'm just trying to say, because we're trying to move this thing, this is where we already got a good start there, and we've got the base going. And so the pipeline would now, if it moved from there and if Bronson did come back, then the pipeline would be going back the other way. It would be reversed.
Well, and that's an issue. The mayor said something about getting back in later last night after the motion was made and voted on. And so all of that has to be discussed. I mean, we're talking about the planning of the pipeline and where the facilities are going to be. And I tried to explain, we can't just jump back in later. It's not that simple. And he said, well, then they can do it without us. That's what they said. They're going to do it with or without us. So let them do it without us. So
that was just a statement.
right. That was just a statement. There was no vote on that. That was statement only. So I think that there's still some questions, I guess, some misunderstandings about how all of this works. The planning stage has already been done. Everything has been sent to the state. Everything's been approved. We've gotten this money. All of this has been done for 4 years now. It's been done. I've only been on here for about 10 months now, but it's been exhausting. It's been an exhausting 10 months. I love every one of you, but it's been exhausting. And at this point, if we get out, it's just not going to be that easy to hop back in because the state has awarded the co-op, which exists because Cedar Key and Otter Creek and Bronson are together in this, awarded the 3 cities the money. And now we are in the design phase and they have to design where the pipes are going to be laid. And they can't just say, oh, Bronson's back in, let's move the pipes back over here, everybody. They can't do that. That's what this time is for, and that's what this money is for. And so we've got to come to understandings. We have to come to better understandings of what the process is and how the money works and how the government just gives, they gave us the money for the planning phase, and now they have awarded us the money for the design phase. And then we continue to ask for more money, and then we get it for the construction phase. No payment at all is due until the construction is completely done past 6 months. And so anyway, there's still questions that are coming up that I feel like we have answered multiple times. And I know it's a lot of information, and I know that it's easy to miss details, and details are extremely important. And so I've been very careful. I want Bronson to feel comfortable about it all. I feel like Kimley and Horn did not bring any new information to the table at all. I feel like that was unnecessary expense, and just kind of slowed everything down. We have the same information throughout all of these documents and from the state. I'm sad about the way the vote went last night, but I wasn't shocked. But I think I was hoping for a little bit better than we got. And I don't vote to spite people. I don't vote because of people's opinions, and I don't vote because of some writer on Facebook. I don't get my news off TikTok. I don't inject my body with things that I see on TikTok shops. I just don't. That's not me. And those trends are going around, and listening to Terry Witt, I guess that's a trend that's going around too. And voting just because you want to vote against me or whatever it is. I really don't understand what happened last night. I really don't. I don't know. Just so much work and time has gone into this, and so much money has already been awarded. And I just think that this last night was a big mistake. And I hope that they'll come back and say, let's revisit this. But I can't make any of you any promises. And I don't know if they decide to vote at the next meeting to go ahead and hop out of W3C. I don't know where I stand. You guys need a chair. You need a third city. You need a place to put your plants if you move forward. And then you've got to really start all over with your planning. You have to send in all this new paperwork if you have to find new property. It's just, this is a mess. Yes.
So I have a different take.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm not going to bemoan this mess that we are in, because I don't look at it as a mess. I look at it as a statement of where we are today and how we go forward from today. And we meet, and we have to decide to move forward. I did want to just reiterate with everyone, the well was dug and paid for $400,000 by 2 state agencies. The property it sits on that Bronson owns was gifted to them from the district of the Swanee Water Management. They have no money in that whole mess except what they invested. They were gifted that, and that well was gifted. The well is owned by this 3 parties sitting here at the table representation. So Bronson owns a third of it, you own a third of it, and Cedar Key owns a third of it. It can be permitted to pump water. We have to have a consumptive use permit. We're ready to do it. The well is completed. It's ready to pump. So it sits there idly. Bronson cannot get a consumptive permit for that. They can't lease us that because, or gift us or make us pay for water, because you can't do that. The water belongs to you. So I'm not upset about it. I just want to know if we can go forward, this group, and start negotiations on purchasing that piece of property that's necessary to operate that well and the additional well we might need and the minimal size, whatever we need, and then we don't have to worry. And you can take 2 years to decide what to do. But we need to move forward and not muck up our plans. The state expects it. Swanee River Water Management's looking at us like, what the heck is going on? It's ridiculous. So we have this well that no one can use unless we all agree. And I'm promoting that we start negotiations with land purchase.
I don't know that Bronson's interested in that.
Well, that's not the call. The call is we want to vote today to say we're going on to engage people to see if it's possible. I don't want to play around anymore. I'm not ready to play around anymore. And I love everybody, but I just looked up online what good faith means. There's a legal term. I didn't know that. But good faith has a definition. And I don't know if I can even pull it up right now. You could do it quicker. You won't do it. Here it is. Good faith refers to acting with sincere, honest intent, free from any purpose to defraud, take unfair advantage, or act maliciously. It implies a genuine, honest belief or effort in conducting transactions, making agreements, and fulfilling obligations, often used to describe fair dealings to sincere mistakes.
So I
We
think
had
that
fair, we had
I know.
fair,
I know, but
We
I
had
think
a
the
fair
issue is that everybody that you are talking to in Bronson now is new. I didn't sign that first agreement. My name is not on there. Our town manager was not part of this. Our current mayor was not part of this. And now we haven't inherited all of it. And that's how they're looking at it. And they're jumping in on the tail end. You know, our town manager took this position in August, I believe. And so we were already talking about signing the implementation agreement around then. And you had already, I think you actually brought that to the table in June or July, Robert. And she was brand new. She didn't know anything about W3C. Our council members barely knew anything about W3C. And our mayor has come to quite a few meetings. He has put the time in. Our manager watches usually on YouTube. And I thank her for that. She does it while she's at her desk. So I don't know that she gets all of the information, but I think she gets most of the information. And I'm always here to answer questions. I've been very open with all of them, given them all of the details. But I do know that nobody from Bronson likes to feel strong-armed and pressured
we're
into
strong
any of
armed.
this.
Excuse me, we are being strong armed.
I know, but Miss Sue, Cedar Key has dug their heels in, and Bronson has dug their heels in. Now I'm speaking as chair of W3C, okay? I'm chair as W3C right now. Cedar Key has dug their heels in. Bronson has dug their heels in. Bronson doesn't know this, but I asked our attorney here, Mr. Fugit, to contact Cedar Key to see if we could negotiate, just change the percentages for the design phase only, just to get the ball down the field, to get Bronson to be more apt to signing this deal with less fees at the end of the 100% design or the 60% design. And Cedar Key said, absolutely not, sign the papers as is. No discussion. That's what I was told. No discussion. No discussion.
That's not so. We said we would do it evenly.
Right. I asked that you guys take on more during the design phase.
It would have been a little more, half and half.
You came to the meeting and said, we've signed the agreement as is. You did. And then started talking about legalities and whatnot, which that did not make Bronson happy. And you made the comment that you would do this with or without Bronson, and that did not make Bronson happy. So really, Bronson has been insulted multiple times through this, and I think that's part of it. Now, I say this because as the chair of W3C, Cedar Key is looking after Cedar Key, and I get it. Bronson is looking after Bronson, and I get it. But as the chair of W3C and as a human being, I'm trying to make everybody happy. You don't care what Bronson needs or wants. Bronson doesn't care what you need or want. And something for you to have a commitment with each other, somebody's got to give. And so during the design phase, if Cedar Key could give a little bit more, because Bronson has the resource that you need. And that's what Bronson is saying. We have the water. We don't need the water. We have it already. You're the ones that need the water. We have a septic sewer system that, yeah, it's kind of old and crappy, but it still works for us. We don't have to have this today. That's what they're saying. And they're not wrong on all of those points. So if there could be some negotiation, but there's been none. There's been no negotiations between the cities. So here's what my plan is and what my question is, what my hope is. What I would like to happen, and I hope everybody's watching this Zoom. How many people are on there? 1, 4,
3.
3. Okay. No, I don't know if Bronson's even on there. Can you tell if Bronson's on there?
No.
Here's what I want. Okay. Here's what I want. We don't know who's watching. Here's what I want. I would like for the leader, the chair of the Water Sewer District of Cedar Key, and the mayor of Cedar Key also. I know he doesn't really have say in this, but no, okay, whatever. The chair of Water Sewer District to meet with the mayor of Bronson and the town manager of Bronson. Zim Paget being there for Otter Creek. Sue and I can maybe watch via Zoom quietly and not have any input because we don't want to break the sunshine laws, but have some sort of discussion and get together if you all want this to move forward with attorneys present. Get the leaders of the groups. I'm not the mayor. He passed his gavel so he could make the motion not to do this. He needs to be in more. Are you the chair, John?
No, I'm general manager.
General manager. Okay.
Rarely is the chair.
Okay, chair. Would you two be willing to have the meeting with Bronson and Otter Creek and see what negotiations can take place? This is where I'm at. This is where we're at.
I think their board would have to.
This is a board thing.
But I mean, if the board said, I can't
He
speak. I'm
can't
not
speak
there.
for how much he's willing to give the,
We would have to make a decision.
you have to have, the-
Right, but just to have a discussion with each other and say, let's discuss this and then we'll take it back to our boards and vote.
Rachel, what is wrong with no matter what are we doing with the well? What do you plan to do with the well?
That's two different things.
No, it
Yeah.
isn't two different
It
things.
is, Bronson last night, Bronson's
So
plan,
you'll
the
not
mayor
let-
wanted out. The mayor
Yeah,
wanted out
but you
last
don't
night.
want
He didn't motion to
that
get
has
out.
nothing to do with purchasing the land.
He is not, they do not want to sell that land.
Okay,
I know that for a fact. They
Okay.
do not want to sell the
So
land.
that
That's
tells
why I'm
us we have-
saying,
you're not gonna negotiate that part. I asked for that first before you asked for what you wanted. I wanna know.
I'm trying to get everybody to stay in. That's what my negotiation is for, Miss Sue. It's for this to keep going, for the plant to happen. You're backing up.
You know why? Because I need to start to look for land. I don't have this 6 months more and 6 months more. You got an additional 6 months out of us just to get your ducks in a row. And you still haven't
Not
got them in
me.
a row.
Not me.
I know.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is, we can be purchasing land now. We should be looking. This is not gonna
Well-
be something, you just reiterated it in your whole presentation here, that we need to decide where we're gonna be doing this, so we can't move the pipes here, we can't move the pipes there. We're at a point now, we have funding, and you're telling funding people to wait because we don't know where the hell we're putting a well that we already
This
got.
is why I want the leaders of the cities and the groups to meet without you and I.
Without our.
Well,
board.
I mean, we can do it. We'd have to make it public. We'd have to make it an open thing like this. That's fine. I was thinking like what's it called?
Yeah, I
When they
don't,
can meet,
yeah,
no,
I don't think that, no, hang on, I don't go into just to that part of it having to be public. I think if it's the mayor.
executive.
It's the mayor, you can't just call it an executive and do it, but it's the mayor a voting member in Bronson.
No, not unless he passes his gavel like he did.
No, but I
I
mean,
mean, he can break
he
a tie.
votes on the commission.
He can break a tie.
Yeah, he votes on the commission. So I don't think there's any problem. Let's just do it simple. I don't think there's any problem from the town manager of Bronson, the general manager of the water sewer district in Cedar Key, and even one elected member of Otter Creek to meet.
Okay,
Doesn't have to be a public meeting, those three meet.
right, without us,
Right.
because we're on the board, and if we
Right.
meet, then we're breaking the sunshine law. That's the
But they're
whole
gonna meet
point.
and they're gonna say, we're gonna negotiate something. Then they gotta go back to their board and say, this is what they said and they said.
Well, it's either that or we stop.
I
No, we're not stopping. We can keep going.
I see that meeting to be one where some of the Bronson people who are not seeing this whole picture can hear more of the whole picture, but that may not
That's
go anywhere.
that's my point.
Now, I also hear from the standpoint of what Ms. Colson brought up regarding the well that has been drilled. And let me set the stage for this. Don't we have you presented it yet? Don't we have a report from Dewberry that the test well
Yes.
is feasible?
That's correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So let me set the stage.
That
for
was the agreement.
Well, and our Bronson attorney knows to speak with Mr. Norm Fugit about that. I spoke with him last night.
All right, so let me weave this into it, because this is, I want to weave the good faith into this whole discussion, okay? So we entered into a license agreement. When I say we, the Waukesha Water and Wastewater Cooperative entered into a license agreement with the town of Bronson. And this was done in July of 2025 for a 1 acre parcel at that location. The licensed property was to be used for construction of a test water well. In the event that the licensee determines, meaning W3C, the licensee determines that the test well indicates that the site is acceptable for licensee's intended future uses, then the parties will negotiate in good faith to determine an acceptable purchase price for the site. That's where we're at.
That's where I'm at.
Well, that's where we legally are at under what W3C and the town of Bronson agreed to. Because we've done the test well, we've determined that it's acceptable for our intended future uses. So then that triggers a negotiation in good faith between the parties. Who knows where that goes?
Yeah.
But that's where we're at.
So you bring it to the table, these same people that say, we're here now to ask about what value you place on this property. And Bronson says $80 million. And we say, oh, well, that's the end of that. And we go back to the drawing board and look for another piece of property. I don't know what you're going to do with the well because you can't use it. You can't use it, so.
They don't want to use it. We have our own water.
Right.
Well, but that's all,
Hey, guys, let's don't get this thing ruffled up so everybody's all.
Oh, it's already there.
I got you there, but we still got to move forward, and we hope to do this in a positive way on all sides. It is a good faith agreement, and that was done in good faith, that if one of us was not going to do it, that we would not do something to block the others. And that is the part of the basis of the good faith. And Bronson has agreed to do this thing in a good faith manner. And if they don't want to do the wastewater and don't want it to be down there, okay. But, we got $500,000 spent right now on a well there based on good faith that land would be sold to the W3C if it all went well. And it's gone perfect. So there is no disputement there that the process isn't feasible. It's not fundable. It's not, there's completely no reason there is no basis to say that this is not an acceptable deal. It's not going to cost Bronson a dime. Bronson's going to get money out of it. And then they're going to have a backup water source that's there at no cost. And whatever they do in the future, they can use more of it, use less of it. And the agreement very clearly states that Bronson doesn't have to buy the water from there unless they need it on a basis. They kind of got a minimum draft amount, I believe it was, wasn't it? Yeah. And so it's kind of I say it would be a legal nightmare to oppose that part that portion of this agreement doesn't go forward.
I think, again, I think that the agreement mandates that. Right? I mean, it's not really that, well, I mean, the agreement mandates that we negotiate a good faith.
Right.
I mean,
And we already
What
established,
the
and we've already
result
established,
of, what the result of those negotiations may be.
and
who knows?
we already established that the entire parcel was worth 2.3 million, and everyone agreed on that. So if you break that down to the portion that's needed just for the well and the water pipeline for that, then that would be equivalently the same number per square footage.
I mean, that's all in the negotiations.
Yeah, I got you.
That's where the attorneys come into play. And that's why I said,
that's what I'm
Mr.
asking
Bullock,
for.
I told Mr. Bullock last night to get with Norm Fugit about the agreement. That's already, the things that have already been signed.
And
That's all I can do, Sue.
and-
I can't make this happen.
No, and if you can't get, if W3C is gonna be, existing the way it is, fine. If Bronson wants to sell the piece, fine, and get out, fine. If Bronson wants to stay and sell the piece, fine. But I don't see Bronson losing anything but getting money. They're gonna get money for the property.
And that's all in negotiations. I think I think what we need to, from my legal advice to this board sitting here today, having nothing to do with the vote that was taken by Bronson last night, having everything to do that the test well is acceptable for our purposes. The agreement says we should begin negotiations to determine an acceptable purchase price. So that's, I think, simply where we're at.
It is, and I think.
The vote on the agreement last night for Bronson it's a different subject. Okay, maybe it's a dead subject, maybe not.
Well, it's actually the first steps of the negotiation of selling the land. If everyone out of the wastewater side of this thing, which seems to be the biggest issue about the money, then okay, so that means we need to start looking for a site for waste and to start trying to pin out this number it's going to take to do that. The least amount of legal legalities.
I agree, but if Rachel is saying that there's a possibility to take another stab at the implementation agreement, I think we need to do that.
Well,
I'm
that's
just
three
saying we
things.
should try.
I
That's
wanna
what my
get-
point is.
I wanna get.
I know it's abrasive and I apologize, but that's my point is let's just throw one more Hail Mary and let's just see.
Well, I would like to do all three. I think if they don't want the wastewater, fine, they'll tell us, or you'll tell us, or somebody will tell us. I think we should start negotiations. for
Well,
the
you're stuck
property.
with me until they tell me to leave or you tell me to leave. So
Well, we're gonna
I'm,
have you
We're not-
move down here and then.
it's
that's
me
it.
again, Margaret.
We're just having you move down here.
We're not stuck with each other. We're all here together because we all want something good.
It's called good faith.
And it's not, just call.
Well, here's what frustrates me.
ladies,
It's not, y'all are not frustrating me. What frustrates me is that Bronson does need the sewer. That's what we need.
And you could use some money. You
But-
don't need,
It's not
you
really
don't
good
need,
for
a-
everyone.
you don't need a figure of money that's quite large.
And the basis of the agreement was, process was, it all began in good faith. It was all been run in good faith. And, yes, there is all new administration in Bronson now, no doubt. But still, you came into an office that already had a base of good faith of something that was good for everyone, including Bronson. And there was no tricks, there was no gimmicks, there was no hiding. Everything's been completely upfront as it can be. Everyone has gone out of their way to make sure that the information was there. And whatever reasons that someone has today that says that they don't exist, does. But if obviously Otter Creek does not have the ability to adjust the numbers either way enough to make a difference to either one of you guys. But if it's what it takes to make it go a little longer, I say let's try doing that and let's put that forward. I don't want to delay where we're going though. I don't want this process to stop. I think we should open it up for negotiations, but we go, we're not throwing things on the table, demands that you do this, you do that. But we do need to start looking for another facility just because we don't want to lose 3 months trying to find another place. When we go to this negotiation, we find out it doesn't go. the worst case scenario is it goes. And then this extra effort we're doing over here looking just goes away. But we can't stop and not look while we're waiting for this answer over here, because this process it does have a time frame. It's already spent 4 years on getting it here. We don't want to back up. We don't want to back up at all. We need to go forward. And I'm just asking everyone I know it's frustrating, but just try to keep
Well,
that
can
tone
we-
just a little bit so everybody's
So
accepting.
let's break this apart. You said 3 parts?
I have 3 parts. One is her hopeful meeting with managers or whatever. Second is to continue looking for new sites. And the third is to start negotiations for the price.
Okay, so
So it's a
let's take,
triple thing.
I agree with it.
okay, let's take one at a time then. Let's take one at a time. Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, you may.
Is that a motion to effectuate negotiations to purchase the property?
Yes,
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
So be it for all of it or part of it.
No, the well. I'm
Right,
not
that's
looking
what
at the
that's
part
what
that
I'm
he had,
saying.
the part he described in red.
Okay.
The 1 acre.
Right now we have it says 1 acre. We'll see where good
Right.
faith takes us, okay? All right, so that motion passed, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the second motion would be to have a manager level meeting.
Yes,
To see if there's anything we can do to keep the implementation agreement alive.
Yes.
that's what she wants, yes.
Second.
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then the third,
Does it need to be in, does it matter in the motion that this needs to go before my board Monday?
whatever y'all feel.
Well, if your
comfortable.
board says it doesn't want to do it, then we'll tell Rachel that they're out.
That's up to you to figure out, up to your
Okay.
board to figure out who to send.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I
I think where we're at. with
we
this,
have always
if
practiced the
Bronson-
board.
If Bronson's willing to come sit at a meeting like that, I think the other two should come sit
Yeah.
at that.
No, I agree. I just want to make sure the language is.
We're not telling the Cedar Key what to do. Cedar
No.
Key's got to figure out how to do it, but we're saying we're willing to.
I agree. I agree.
My fellow board members are here and I am not allowed to negotiate anything that's not because of that.
All right.
Bronson doesn't know I've offered this, so.
All right, number 3.
I've been doing.
Okay.
Number 3 is
We have the other sites to look for
start
For wells.
looking for
and
alternative.
wastewater. And then I have another motion after that.
Okay, all in favor?
Wait a minute, what?
No.
We had a motion okay, let's state it. And the motion was to start looking for alternative sites for
Both,
water
And sewer.
and
Right.
wastewater.
Mhm.
Not necessarily the same site.
Right.
Just whatever. Is that a second?
Second.
All in favor?
yes.
Aye.
We got direction.
You okay over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, clear as mud.
Okay,
I got one more for you.
okay, motion 4.
And let me back up. I want to say one thing about the meeting, the meeting to try to maybe salvage something about the integration agreement is when Rachel came into this situation, I think it's fair to say that she was probably against this whole thing.
Yes,
And she has come around to be for it, okay? I think also it's fair to say that because of the interactions between the current board and Bronson, that there's some personalities there that Rachel, that some of them are against you, and that's impacting their reasoning about this whole thing.
a little bit, I think so.
Right, so that's where getting these members who seem, who are seen as pushing it out of that loop, and let's have a conversation with some other people.
And I had a fourth thing.
So,
And that's my personal opinion. It's just my personal opinion. That's what it feels like. So I want to, I'm not blaming anybody for anything, but I just feel like if some of the other leaders could meet and speak with each other, maybe we could throw the Hail Mary. Okay. All right, Miss Sue, number 4.
Number 4 is to say that there's two projects now. It's always been 2, but we combine them as one, wastewater and potable water. So the concentration, they fully funded the whole ball of wax the well being successful, that one is moving at a quicker pace than the wastewater. So I would like to say that we don't put the emphasis so much on the wastewater at this time, except possible locations as potential locations, but have Dewberry to just push hard and forward on getting water going. So I don't know how to make that motion, is to say to prioritize the water, fresh water more than we are the wastewater.
Maybe the motion is to conceptually segregate the two sides.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that what?
Yeah, I think,
Oh, it doesn't help you. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know, we're willing to do whatever, we need a formal motion. We'll put priorities wherever you guys tell us to do it. That's not a problem.
I just feel like it's confusing now, and so maybe we should, because it was so easy in a nice package.
Yeah, well, I think when you guys negotiate, you have this offsite meeting or whatever you were doing to talk about this,
Yes.
you consider the option of
We could
segregating
consider
the
that.
implementation agreement between the water and the wastewater. 'Cause
So
there
that
may
would come back to here? Or do
be-
you
It
want it
has to,
today?
yes, and
Yeah, but do you want it today to say that we're going
I'm good with just general direction.
I
withdraw?
mean, I think that's something they could talk about in the meeting,
Withdraw.
that I would like them to have. and
But
they'll have it.
I feel like we've made such progress.
Tim, you would be there though. Great.
And just by the way, that, I don't know what you paid for the study, but I was just writing down the figures. The study that was done, that you could have done without the study, because it's the same answer, would have funded Otter Creek's portion of that 1 year rate that you would have to pay.
Ms. Sue, in defense, I think Rachel voted against the study.
No, I know she did.
I did vote against the
When I
study.
say you, I mean,
From-
you
I know.
represent.
I know, and I don't want to be disrespectful to the town of Bronson council members or manager, and I want to make that clear. I do heavily disagree with their decision, thank you, decision yesterday, and the decision to hire Kimley Horn. But, you know, we're here today. And so I just, I know everybody's stressed out. I did not mean to stress everybody out. I'm sorry. I just know that both of the major players in this have dug their heels in, and we've got to have some negotiations if this is going to move forward. We just have to. And I want it to move forward.
Well, I think move forward with all of us as parties.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it won't move forward.
Let's try to arrange this meeting as soon as possible.
Yes, I agree.
So we do it, so we know where we're going.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I could,
Yes.
just as a reminder, guys, we did submit the application. We expect DEP to take a couple of months to get us a contract or any legal agreements back, then it'll go back and forth. So we do have a couple of months here. It's not gonna slow things down.
Okay.
If
That's
we can
good.
kind of come to some agreement or understanding of how we want to proceed forward.
I
Okay.
don't mean to interrupt you, but land prices are changing constantly when people get wind of what we want and how we want to do it, and availability of land. I think that scares me, not in time frame that we buy, but that we seek and we even understand where there may even be potential. And it takes a while to figure that out. And that's something that I want to push forward on, because you go to purchase something or you start an agreement with somebody and then they back out. And then, or you let's jack the price up and we can't do it. Or your engineer is going to tell me, hey, that's never going to work. Or that is not a good well site. So I have some pain in.
I've got
in
some of
not
those
hearing.
sites,
Yeah, I know. So, you
not
know,
good well sites.
you do.
I got some not good well
Oh,
sites.
I know. I'm looking at land
Plenty of those.
everywhere.
We
I
saw
have-
this
I was just trying to say what I'm going to tell you.
I don't go to Gainesville where I don't start to
Yeah.
buy land on the way to Gainesville. But we've got to find something in case. And I know the district is gonna be looking too to help us. But people remember, we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in this. Not us,
The district.
agencies do. And they're not happy to think they invested it for nothing and now they've got to do it again. So taxpayers pay twice. And so I don't know how that makes everyone feel. And I don't know. And I know that agreements that were passed in previous administrations are not always making people happy. But the Constitution was written 250 years ago, and we're trying to follow it now.
Well, it's,
So, I mean, you know what
every
the heck?
government agency, everybody across the board, people come in, people leave, people get elected,
But you have
people
the
get kicked
framework.
out, and you still have what's left. I mean, everybody inherits something when you get into politics and whatnot. So anyway, who wants to take charge of the meeting? Would you or would Zim like to get a hold of Bronson and coordinate a meeting time? No, no. Sorry.
I'm giving a qualified yes to this, but before I give a definite yes, I need to get an opinion from the Cedar Key Water and Sewer District's lawyer on participating in this meeting.
Okay.
And I think we have a meeting
Monday,
next Monday.
Yes, sir.
yes.
So that's when I would likely get the opinion from him. Regardless of his opinion, I can't commit the Water and Sewer District to anything without bringing it before the board and
Right.
getting the vote.
Right. This is just negotiating and talking.
But just the meeting itself,
Mhm.
I want to get his opinion before I give a definite yes,
Okay.
and before we arrange a date.
Okay.
And I would suggest the question to your attorney be not can a particular person attend that meeting. It would be who from our organization is appropriate to attend that meeting from a legal standpoint.
Okay.
I know it can't be, I know that it can't be Sue because Zim will be there, right? It might could be you. I'm not your attorney. It probably could definitely be John. So,
And these are translators and just to come back and forth.
right.
It's weird
The
because
goal is, here's the bottom line, I think. The goal is not so much for y'all to agree to something or Zim to agree to something. It's somebody at Bronson to start agreeing to something to get some movement, right?
Yes, what I would be able to agree to is to bring something before the board.
Exactly.
Yes.
But somebody at Bronson's got to say, we'll think about participating in this rather than just a flat no.
Yes.
So do you have I think you would be wise to get a framework of what you're going to be discussing there and not just leave it wide open. It has to be participation.
There's three items up.
That's right.
Those need to be the agenda of that meeting.
Well, and Zim knows he's on this board, so he knows what we need, right?
But who's driving this? Who's gonna contact Bronson?
I guess I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's what my question
Let me
was.
do it.
Would it
I'll
be
call
you
Terry.
or Zim? So
Terry
let Zim
will
do
I
it.
guess I missed
advertise
that.
it.
That's
Yes,
okay.
you will.
That's okay. So Zim will contact Bronson.
And then I'll hear from you or what your decisions are.
Yeah, well,
We'll
Okay,
know
okay.
something by late Monday evening.
All right. And then I'll try to reach out to them this week and see if I can get them to kind of give us a ballpark of a time frame. And if we're interested in doing it, and I'll have an answer from that side hopefully by the time you get your answer back to either Monday.
You know,
Do we have contact numbers for all these people?
you had a wonderful agenda. We had the best news is this entire agenda. This project doesn't just disappear. This is too far in. It's just how is it gonna look when it comes out? But there's been nothing but good. Nothing but good.
We've had great news month after month after month.
And you were the driving train that fought to get that 20% and did it for your people, for your
Right.
people. But you know what? I can't get away from this, and I think we're too cliquish and too tribal. I have not, and I know you said I do, but I do not just do Cedar Key. I probably have more constituents in Rosewood who aren't gonna get anything out of this unless somebody someday fixes it for them.
Well, I've
But
spoken
I
to
am-
the BOCC.
I am for all the people, and I'm for Otter Creek particularly strong.
I've spoken to 3 BOCC members at this point privately, phone calls, and they're more interested than they were, so that we're good. They want to hear more. They're very open to having a workshop. They'd like the DEP to
Rachel,
come
You
down.
spoke to three, who, I didn't hear.
Board of County Commissioners.
County commissioners,
County.
yes. They would like Adam Blaylock to come down and have a workshop. And they're all on board for that. They want to know more. They want to understand how it would help the county.
Tell them who Adam Blaylock is.
Adam Blaylock is he's the head of
Deputy.
the deputy secretary. That's it, deputy secretary of the DEP. He's over the Springs health. Bye, Christine. Thank you.
So one of the things that's a problem, and I think you all have to realize that these representatives and all these agencies have given everything we asked for, and they have tried very hard to help us. And yet we continue to want them to come down. And I know one of your board people had said to me, I didn't get invited, or they didn't invite me up there. And I'm like, you know, how many times these people, there are representatives, but they gave and they gave and they still give, and they have to come down and talk to you on this basis, which is the way we used to do politics years ago. It's not easy anymore to do that. So it just makes things really difficult for
Me
them.
too.
And
But if that's what we need, then
they're-
that's what we need.
I know
Do you know
that,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
I mean,
But-
but that verbiage is part of the thing that makes some people from Bronson upset when you say things like that. Like the state has given you this much and you want more, and there have been things that you've said that have just made them upset. And the thing is that if they need to hear from, even one of the BOCC members said, why hasn't the DEP come down here then? Even one of the county commissioners said that. So that is what we need. Don't lose focus of what the goal is. If we need whatever we need to do to get the
Oh, please,
goal, do you know what I'm saying?
yes, I
Whatever
know,
we need.
I
I
know.
feel like the room's getting tired.
Well, I'm not on the board, but I think we're at a pretty good spot. And if we keep talking, we're gonna get into a bad
I
spot.
think we need to stop. I think we need to call it. I think we need,
So-
can we go on, you got something else, Robert? I'm sorry.
I have nothing else other than this was the schedule where we're at, and we'll continue to work with everybody. So
You have public participation. I think
Oh,
there
do we
will
have
be.
anybody else?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
was the vote? Number 4-1?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Another day, you'll never get back.
Yeah,
I don't know whether this is the proper time, but I've got to ask it because I've been kind of involved in this for about 3 years or 4 years now. And maybe it's a history question. Is there something geologically about why it was Bronson instead of the ridge along 98 or Chiefland that determined the locations? And so why is it, and I know we're here now, so it's kind of seems to be bad that we have this uncertainty, but can you back that up and just say, Ms. Sue's asking about other locations, what I'm getting at. Are there in fact other viable places that could be a backup?
Can I help with that too? Just one thing.
sure.
We started it because it was the most direct route and it was in the right of ways and would cause the least issue. And that ridge occurs from Bronson all the way up.
Okay.
And so it was the quickest, smartest, most common sense route, but we're not gonna go that way. So there are areas, and he could probably attest to it, but there's good water along that ridge. But that becomes a nightmare of how to hook it up, further distance, blah, 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 right of ways, disrupting the whole world. So there is some issue with that. So I'll let him answer the geological part, but the common sense part was straight line to good water, and good water exists. Here's the thing, they got it, they got some property, this all works, and they had some needs at the time that they don't have now. They had capacity needs for their wastewater, they have a plant that may need to be paid off, they have money needs, and we thought, well, they get money, they get some perks, and we get some perks, and Otter Creek finally gets something to drink. So that was the rationale for our side. You do the geological side.
So the answer to this question is there is other areas where there's potable drinking water that's probably as good. Whether it's exactly as clean as this, it's hard to tell until you drill the well and you actually know what's coming out. But obviously Chiefland's got good water. They use water fairly well, but this was, as Sue mentioned, the most logical place. Multiple studies were done before I even got involved, going back to the Water Management District's evaluations of alternate locations and what's been done. And so because of the pros and cons for each of the members, this was kind of decided on the path, but that would be most direct to go forward.
And there is some history with the Levy County comp plan. I don't know what Bronson's comp plan is like, but I know our comp plan is to always go to the areas that you have and make sure that they're increased in capacity at those sites, rather than just create a new one and a new one and a new one. And so that was the hubs. And that land was interesting to the district because they owned it and gave it to them. So they thought that was part of the deal, was be the future, increase size and capacity and get Bronson off of septic tanks and get them onto sewage treatment eventually. And that was in your original agreement from 2002 or 3. So that's been the goal all along. So those were rationales why. And then the water turned out to be primo, of course. It may be our curse that it's the best water. I don't know.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Okay, guys, thanks for hanging in. It did go over a little bit longer than I expected. I'm sorry about the meeting last night and the outcome from that, but I'm hoping that we can turn this thing around. We can come to some sort of something, okay? All right, dismissed. Adjourned.
Dismissed.
Sherry, is that gonna be a bad one?